Hello again, and welcome to Marketing with Purpose. My name is Monica Pitts, and today is all about communication. There has been actually a lot of communication going on in my life today. It started with a run with my good friend in the morning. It's pretty much just social hour when we get up at 5:15 and run. And then I came downstairs and I started talking to you guys because I'm batching my podcasts today. Then I hung out with you guys for a few hours. Then I went over and I did a private aerial lesson, which I don't think you guys know this about me yet. I am an aerialist. And what that means is I picked up a really interesting hobby a few years ago where I hang from silk fabrics from an apparatus that looks a lot like a swing set. And I spin in circles and I wrap myself up and dangle upside down. It's amazing and awesome and I love it. And then I had a meeting in my car from my phone. Then I went to the chiropractor and I talked to him through a mask. And then I came home and it turns out, because it's summer right now, my kids found this gigantic snake on the front porch. So I was tasked with communicating with this snake. I really hoped that my dog would communicate with the snake. So I brought the dog out to the front porch and I was like, "Hey, Roxy." So she's a pretty big dog. She's a pointer. I'm like, "Why don't you hang out with this snake? Why don't you tell it to get the heck off the porch so the kids can play?" No. That apparently was not part of her communication at all today. So it was left to me. So off I go with a shovel and a pitchfork. And I'm gently scooping up this snake who is really angry at me and actually pretty big and carrying him off to the side yard to communicate with him, to tell him to go on and get out of my life so that my kids can actually play and I can come back down and communicate with you. I've been in my email, I've been in text, I've been in Messenger, I've been on Facebook. Whoa, communication city, right? And all this stuff got me thinking about these time-saving tips for communication. So I'm going to share with you 8 of the ways that I figure out how to pack all that stuff into a day before it's even 2:00 and still get my job done. Are you ready? Let's get down to business.
If you're a natural-born marketer, you're one lucky son of a gun. If you're like most people, marketing, especially online marketing, is about as appealing as standing in a police lineup. The May Create team of creatives has transformed websites and digital marketing from craptastic to fantastic since 2005. Our podcast, Marketing with Purpose, makes sense of marketing so you can make purposeful decisions instead of carrying on with the same old crap you've been doing. And now your host, Monica Pitts, founder of May Create, with another episode on how to make your marketing not suck.
Now, before I dig into these 8 time-saving tips for communication, I want to remind you about podcast.maycreate.com. That is where all of the nicely formatted blog posts that we write up for podcasts like this one. Not all of our podcasts have blog posts accompanying them because some of them actually come from Facebook Lives, and in that case, you would get a video. But in this instance, there's a nicely formatted blog post out there that will share these 8 tips with you. So as you're going through trying to figure out ways to save time in communication, if you need a refresher, hop on over to podcast.maycreate.com. Also, I'm going to talk about specific services that I use, and there will be links to that in the episode goodie bag that Katie makes for you. So don't forget about podcast.maycreate.com. All right, so let's start at the top. The very first thing that you have to know if you're going to try to save time with communication is yourself. The second thing that you have to know is your audience. I know that sounds totally crazy, but here's the deal. Think about the number of times where you've had to go approach someone that you know really, really well about something that you know that they're going to freak out about. That is what knowing your audience is. So my husband comes up to me and he says, "Monica, I'm going to talk to you about something right now. And I was really hoping that you would maybe promise me that you weren't going to get mad at me." And I say, "That sort of depends on what we're going to talk about." Now, he knows me and he knows what I'm going to get upset about. He knows the things that he can text me. He knows when he needs to talk to me in person. He knows how I'm going to react because he knows me. And that's what knowing your audience is. Now, you also have to know yourself and you have to know your own tendencies as a communicator and how you communicate best. If it takes you a really long time to text somebody, then don't text them because it's going to take you forever. If you're not good at composing an eloquent email about a touchy subject, don't. If you're not good on the phone under pressure, move on to a different way to do it. So if you understand how you communicate best, that's something you can lean into if it's something that will be receptive to your audience. So every time that you enter into a communication challenge, think to yourself, what tools do I have available that I can use to best communicate to my audience what I need them to hear? Now, what your audience needs to hear, that's something else. And I'm certain that we can cover that a little bit in this podcast. But for most part, we're going to be talking about tools and methods that you can use. All right. So bearing that in mind, let's start with tip number 1. Tip number 1 is bring a translator. Maybe bring a buffer. Bring another person if you need another person there. One of the things that you can do to save time is not have the same conversation twice. So, for example, when I used to work for the family business, sometimes I would have clients that were super, super detail oriented. And I knew that they were going to ask me all kinds of questions and I was going to give them big picture answers. And I might not even really hear what they were asking me. So I would bring my brother with me. Now, my brother is much more detail oriented than I am. And he would understand. He spoke their language. And so he could tag team with me and he could have part of the conversation and I could have part of the conversation. And that made it go just that much faster. Another example is, let's say that you have a tech person and you're getting ready to build a website. Now, if you know your tech person is going to be a person that's going to be updating the website and has opinions and you care about those opinions, then that person should come to the meeting to begin with. It's going to save you so much time in future communications if you bring the people in to begin with. And my last example is if you have multiple decision makers, all the people that need to be in the meeting need to be in the meeting. And if they can't come, they can't come. That will save you time in the end. So you can bring a translator, you can bring a sidekick, you can bring all the right people to the meeting, and that is going to save you time in the long run. So that is my first tip. All right, so let's go with tip number 2. So tip number 2 is use video. Everybody writes emails. They write emails, they write emails, they write emails. They send so many texts, and they have so many other ways that they can communicate this information. So I ran into this pretty much the hard way. I was reviewing client accounts. I was reviewing marketing data. It's really exciting for me, but apparently not nearly as exciting for everyone else. I was typing up emails for every account. It was taking me forever. Honestly, it probably took me 30 minutes or more for each email, sometimes longer. And then I was like, well, I could start dictating these emails. So that did save me some time. And that is tip number 3, but I'm not there yet. So that was my first progression towards problem solving is, okay, people need to get marketing data. I need them to listen to what I have to say. So I got to find a way to make this email writing faster. But the real challenge was that I was using the wrong form of communication. I got into a client's account and I couldn't remember what I had said last month. And so I opened up that email and I looked at it and I thought, who the heck would ever want to read this thing? It is terrible. For all the time that I had spent composing this email, I didn't even want to read it myself. And it was because it was just some words. They're all blobbing together on the page. And there were 3 paragraphs. And there were all these numbers in there. And it was all technical. And it was terrible. So I thought to myself, wait a second. I have all these gorgeous reports that I have built for myself in Google Data Studio that I look over. And I have all of these lovely reporting softwares that I use to be able to quickly and easily understand what's going on in their online marketing. Why in the world am I typing up an email when I could just share my screen and share my face and say hi to them and have a conversation with them, and they can see what I'm looking at? We can go over it quickly. Now, I won't lie, there were a couple at the beginning where I was really nervous about being on video, and so they turned out terrible, and they did take a long time. But once I got into the swing of it, they took me way less time to make, between 5 and 7 minutes to make, after I did probably 5 minutes worth of research. So I cut my time down by a third. And then my clients were just overjoyed. They were like, "This is amazing, Monica. I can't believe that you just made me a video." And it was like I'd given them a Christmas present or something, when in actuality, I was just trying to save myself time. But the reason that it was like a Christmas present is because I used the right mode of communication to be able to get the message across to them. So use video. The service that I use for screen sharing is called Loomly, Loomly. And it puts you in this cute little circle in the corner, or you can put yourself in the middle. You can share your screen. And the other thing that I use this for a lot is if I'm trying to communicate a complicated topic. So instead of making somebody read a textbook, I just turn on the screen share and I explain it to them like I would if they were sitting in front of me. And I've had so many people tell me thank you, because that is so much easier for them to understand. And then last but not least, I also use it when I'm going to go over a sales estimate, because then I explain what each part of the sales estimate is, because my clients are really busy. It's difficult to get them on the phone for this conversation. Instead, I can just share my screen, go through everything, make sure I tell them what they need to hear about the sales estimate from their perspective, and do it all using video. Then with Loomly, I don't have to upload the video or share it or anything like that. I just copy the link and I email it to them. And they don't have to log in. They don't have to download anything. They just click on it. It loads up in Loomly and they can play the video, and only the people with the link can see it. So it's legitimate. So number 1 is bring that translator. Number 2 is use video. Number 3, dictation. This is a huge, huge time saver for me. I started dictating a while ago when I started bringing on more clients and more staff. I'm the art director as well as the CEO, right? So I've got a lot of people that I have to talk to, and I speak a lot faster than I type. So if you're going to use dictation, one of the key things is to use a good dictation service and also use a good microphone. The clearer your voice is going into the dictation service, the better the outcome will be. The best dictation service that I have found is called Otter, OTTER.ai. It has an app on your phone that you can use. It also has a online interface, and you can dictate into it. You can also upload things to it, and it will transcribe them. In order to use the transcription service, you do have to have a paid account, but the dictation is free. It's amazing. I use it in my car. I use it all the time. Like if I have a thought and I need to get it across and then it's just like stewing in my head, I just open up my Otter app and I start recording, and it really helps. It really does. The other dictation software that I use is actually a Chrome app. It's called Voice in Voice Typing. So the challenge with Otter is I can't just go into my project management software or my email and click in there and start dictating. And if you have ever used voice typing with Google, you know that it is not great. It's not. It picks up all kinds of weird words all the time. So I knew that wasn't going to really be the right answer. I found voice in voice typing, what it does is it does use that Google algorithm for voice recognition, but somehow it does a better job, and it lets me use it anywhere that I'm at online. So I can use it to dictate my emails. I can use it to dictate responses back to my designers about their work. It's great. Like, I use it all the time. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that I feel like is slowing me down right now is I'm kind of out of process because I worked in my basement with my husband for months while we were quarantined, and he talks really loud and my microphone's real good. And it would pick him up and it would pick me up, and my dictation software had no idea what to do. It was just freaking out. So then I would either have to go in another room to do my email and any other thing, all the things really. And so I just started typing, and now I got into the swing of typing again, when in actuality, that is not the fastest way for me to get my content out. Now, I'm not saying that if you use dictation that you're never going to go back and edit, because that is so untrue. You are absolutely going to read through it before you send it, because what if it says a naughty word? Yeah, because that happens sometimes. Sometimes it says really weird stuff, and I might be like really hungry or not quite right, and I'll send an email. I did that the other day, and Stacy was CC'd in the email, and she came back in and she's like, I think you need to stop dictating now and go eat lunch, Monica, because you're not reading your emails and they are weird. I was like, oh man. So I sent an apology to the person that I sent the weird email to, and we moved on from there. So dictation, that's number 3. Try it, especially if you're like me and you're an audio learner. This could be the money spot for you. Number 4 is canned responses. Now, I call them canned responses because I use Gmail, but there are email templates for all kinds of different email programs. Pre-planning always makes things go faster. My motto is all about planning. We spend so much time thinking through things and planning things, and that is the thing that gets us to point B as efficiently as possible, is that extra moment that you spent thinking through it to make sure that you're going to do it right to begin with. I mean, for example, we're working on a really big project. It's a sleep therapy training program that's all online, and people talk back and forth with moderators. It reports all kinds of data. It's really, really cool. And in that program, we spent hours and hours. I cannot even tell you how many meetings we had at the beginning, because we'd get out of the meeting and I'd look at Erica and I'd say, I still don't think that we're ready. I think we're going to do this next task and we need to check back in, because I still don't feel like we really know what this client needs to be able to run this program. So many meetings. And now we're almost all the way done through the project, and we're at 80% of the budget, which is amazing, because I can't tell you how many hours I spent in meetings, but it's because we spent all that time planning that it allowed us to be able to come in under budget on that project. So how does this relate to canned responses? How does this relate to email templates? The normal interactions that you have with people on a daily basis, be it a thank you or it could be anything, right? So think through the things that you do on a daily basis. Those are the things that you're going to have canned responses for. Think through the emails that you get and you sort through and you basically write the same thing every time. Canned response. So what I do with these canned responses is I write them and I make sure that it is the most perfect email, whether it's telling somebody that they can't do a guest post on my blog, or telling somebody that I want to hire them for a job or not hire them for a job. I mean, all those things I do over and over again, and I don't want to have to rethink through those emails. They take time. So using the templates, I write them out and I make sure that they're great. As I need to adjust them because they didn't work the way that I wanted them to, I adjust the template and I save it. And then I highlight areas in yellow that I'm going to have to change every single time to make sure that I have the right name or the right compliment or the right date in every email. It saves so much time. Through our entire web design process, our account service people have a whole document filled with every single email template that they will use back and forth with the clients, because we've been building websites for like 15 years and we know what we need to tell people to make sure that we don't end up with a gigantic mess on our hands. That is how you save time in communication, through planning with your canned responses. All right, so number 5, use a calendaring system. What the heck is a calendaring system? That's a great question. It's a service that you use that's online that allows people to pick the time that they want to talk to you or meet with you. So if you are going to set a meeting and you know you have certain time slots and you're setting meetings with multiple people, then you can use a calendaring service to be able to pick the time slots that you want to make available. And then you send a link to the people that you're trying to set appointments with. They go out, they set the appointment, boom, it's done. It is amazing. The one I use, which is called Calendly, Calendly, even allows me to choose if it sends them a text message reminder, which is totally awesome. And you get to pick what information you gather from them. So I'm always going to get their email address, their phone number, and ask them if they want a text reminder. You can set the reminder email that automatically sends to them. It is awesome because then you don't have to check back in. You don't have to confirm your appointments, and you don't have to do the 15 emails that it takes to set an appointment. So we use this when we hire people, and we also use it with consulting appointments, video shoots, all kinds of different things. If we've got a lot of people to schedule, we're going to use Calendly to do it. Okay, so let's recap the first 5 before I go into the last 3. The first, bring a translator. Number 2, use video. 3, dictation. 4, canned responses. 5, use a calendaring system. Moving on to number 6, screenshot software. So you may not have this problem as much as I do because I deal in visuals, but I have to show people what I'm talking about on a page, on a website. So we use 2 different Chrome apps for this. I use Qsnap, which will take an entire screenshot of an entire page from top to bottom, not just what I see on my screen, but the whole screen. Awesome, the whole page. And Lightshot is another screenshot tool that's like the snipping tool. I also use a third one that's called Greenshot. Now, Greenshot is a software that's installed on my computer. So here's the deal. When you use the snipping tool, you have to open it up. You have to click to take your screenshot. You have to select it. You have to tell it what you want it to do next. If I use Qsnap, Lightshot, or Greenshot, all I have to do is either click my Chrome extension and it will do it for me, or I click print screen for Greenshot and it takes a screenshot for me. And then all of them allow me to mark up the page that I just took a screenshot of. So I can type on it, I can circle things, make arrows, whatever it is to communicate what I'm trying to do. I don't like the snipping tool because it makes me click 3 more times. It is not seamless. If you count the number of seconds that it takes you to click 3 more times and you're taking 14 screenshots a day, you've wasted all that time communicating. So find something that will speed up your life and make it go faster. Number 7, get something that puts your voicemail into your email. My clients are blown away that I get links to vocal recordings in my email from my voice over IP phone. It's just so funny. Like, you're probably shaking your head like, of course you do, Monica. But some people apparently don't. And that is why I'm telling you right now. I can be anywhere at all. And I don't even have to log into my phone. I just open up my email. It tells me I have a voicemail. I click on it. I listen to it and I can call people back. Nuts, right? Yeah. Talk about a time-saving tip. Do it. It's awesome. And mine even translates what they're saying. It gives me like a very short snippet of the actual voicemail so that I can read it. Which is great because then I'm like, oops, sales call. Don't want to talk to that person. Or, oh man, that's Chris. I've been trying to get a hold of him for 2 weeks. So voicemail to email is awesome. All right. So last but not least, and this might sound counterintuitive because all of these things that I've told you, except for the very first one, are all about technology. Just call people. I can't tell you how many times I've sat in a meeting with an account service person and they're like, I've tried to contact this person so many times. And I say, did you call him? And they say, well, no, but I've sent him like 14 emails. And I'm like, well, the third email didn't work. We probably need to move to another method, right? Know your audience. You have to know how they want to communicate. Just the other day, I was communicating on Facebook Messenger with a lady who's amazing, and she's super smart. I'm scheduling a podcast with her, and she kind of took a really long time to respond. I was like, wow, this just isn't really like her, because sometimes she's just super responsive, and then she'll have a really long gap, and then I message her again, and then she'll respond. And so finally I just said, hey, is this not the right way to communicate with you? Would it be better if I sent you an email or a text? And she was like, absolutely. That would be so great. If you send me a text, I will respond to you lickety split. I just am not in Messenger all the time. Yes. Okay. So I just said call, but what I really should have said was ask or troubleshoot, take a different turn, try something different. So many people have an enormous amount of call reluctance. They do not want to pick up the phone and talk to people because they feel like they're bothering them. But I'm here to tell you that it is so much faster to schedule an appointment with someone on the phone than it is via email. You're going to waste so much less time. And you can even download Chrome extensions like my Ring Central phone. I have an extension where I go to a phone number, I hover over it, and it allows me to call that phone number just by hovering and clicking. So I don't even have to open my phone on my computer. I can just click and it dials it for me. So it's really easy and it's not hard at all. And I can't tell you how happy I am to be able to have a phone that I don't have to dial because I'm dyslexic and it's so hard. I'm always dialing the numbers the wrong direction. I remember when I first started calling people as part of my job, like back in 2001. Oh man, I'd have to dial a number 4 times sometime before I got it right. So, hey, I guess that could be the last bonus tip is put everybody that you need to call into your phone software. So for example, whenever we bring a new person on the team who's going to be working with clients, we export all of the client contact information from one of our phones and we import it into their phone. So that way they know who's calling and they can just type in a person's name. I just type in Chris and then their contact comes up and I just click on it and I can call them instead of having to look up the phone number or ask somebody else. Anytime that you can create that quick fix, it will absolutely save you time for communication. All right. So clearly I love solving problems and I love doing it through technology. And I think that's shining through with all of my enthusiasm with all of these solutions. So let's recap these 8 really fast. First, bring a translator. Make sure you have the right people in the conversation. Second, use video. Use the proper medium to connect with this person about the thing you're talking about. Third, dictation. Try it out. I'm telling you, it'll save you so much time and it's awesome. Fourth, canned responses. Plan ahead. Make sure you got all the emails that you would need, make them into templates, and then you can just pull them out and use them whenever you need them. Number 5, we're going to use a calendaring system that allows people to make appointments with you so you don't have to do all that emailing back and forth. Number 6, a screenshot software like Qsnap, Lightshot, or GreenShot. All of them totally amazing and will make it faster for you to open the program and use it, and you can mark it up and then save it and send it to somebody. Number 7, voicemail to email. It's the way to go. You don't have to call your voicemail anymore. And then number 8, call or just text or just switch methods if you can't get a hold of somebody and ask, right? That's what we said this one really was. It's not really call, it's ask. So that way you can communicate with someone the way that they most want to be communicated with. And those, my friends, are your time-saving tips for communication. Just think ahead and know yourself, know what you do well, know what you're comfortable with communication, and then also really think about your audience. How are they going to best interpret the information? Remember, knowing your audience is like knowing your spouse, knowing how they're going to react to something, and then understanding how to present it to them in a way that it will be received in the best light. Now, as always, you can go out to podcast.makecreate.com. There is a blog post with all these tips out there for you so you can read them. And if you learned something or if you enjoyed this podcast, give me a review. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to have you as part of the audience regularly. So subscribe so we can talk again. And that, my friends, is all for today. Thank you so much for being here with me. Now, get out of here. I know you've got other things to do. I mean, those communication saving methods are not going to implement themselves. Oh, that was really weird. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, let's just end with this. Go forth and market with purpose.
Thanks again for listening to Marketing with Purpose. Head over to mayecreate.com, MAYECREATE.com. Yeah, you heard me right, MAYECreate.com for podcast notes and more resources to grow your business. Don't let your marketing suck. Get your pride on, market with purpose.